All right. Answers by yes. Fantasy Football's Inside Scoop from outside the box. AFC West Preview. What's up there, guess?
Welcome back to Groundhog Day.
So-
I feel like we're doing a live show again because I'm tired and some bags under my eyes. This
yeah.
is part 3. Let's try. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Remember, guys, like us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Patreon, and soon to be podcasting on Spotify. Been trying to figure out how to make that work and getting closer and closer. So that should be out pretty soon. Remember to always look for those hashtags, answers by guess and ABGFF. Like I said, we're doing the AFC West preview: Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers, Las Vegas Raiders, and Denver Broncos. Guess I'll let you talk a little bit, and then we'll go into our segment.
Sure. This is 5 guys for your eyes here at Answers by Guess. We have the inside scoop from outside the box. We don't like to waste time talking about the guys that everybody else is talking about. We want to try and find those guys that you should have your eyes on now and as the season moves forward that nobody else is talking about, at least now, that they likely will be later.
All right. We're going to be going from 5 to 1, and then maybe there's a little surprise if you've watched the other
Ooh,
ones.
I like surprises.
All right. Number 5 on your list, Isaiah Spiller from Los Angeles Chargers. Saw him a little bit last year. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I love that you called him Los Angeles and didn't slip with the San Diego. I think we finally have gotten past the point where we no longer are calling them San Diego. I'm also in that boat, so it's good. Isaiah Spiller, a name you know, but a name nobody's talking about. Rookie last year. Um, if you've watched the show for the past, 6 seasons, we're about to start season number 7. I'm always waiting for Mr. Eckler to break down. Um, he did come out yesterday, basically saying he's not worried about a contract extension or any of that. So that's a good thing for Mr. Eckler. But he has said in years past, last year most recently, that he wants somebody to help come in, take some of the load off. They drafted Spiller for that. He didn't do too much last year, but he's got a year under his belt. It's only Joshua Kelly in his way. If something were to happen to Eckler, and even if nothing does happen to Eckler, he wants somebody there to take some of the load off. I think people are forgetting a little bit about Spiller. He was a bigger name last summer. And he's somebody that you have to keep your eyes on this offseason or in this preseason and see what happens. And just be ready to pluck him maybe in a late round draft, especially as a handcuff, and in case anything happens with Mr. Eckler. So Isaiah Spiller is a guy for your eye that you should not be forgetting about.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Let's go on to the next one here. Deneric Prince, the rookie from the Kansas City Chiefs. Interesting. Dude, I drafted Isaiah Pacheco in Dynasty. Should I be worried?
I don't think you should be worried. I really still like Pacheco. I wish I had him in my 2 dynasty leagues. I knew you were going to take him in the first round of our dynasty league. I've been trying to trade for him in the other dynasty league I'm in. It's not going to happen. I like Isaiah Pacheco. Don't get me wrong. But the Chiefs like to use their rookie running backs. You go all the way back to Kareem Hunt when Andy Reid and him both were starting with the Chiefs. They like to put the guys in. We saw it last year with Pacheco. We saw it a couple years ago with CEH. Everybody overdrafted CEH back then. Years have gone by. We've talked about it. Other people have now since talked about it. We don't think they really like CEH. They keep trying to draft somebody else. I think CEH might get moved. If Dalvin Cook doesn't wind up in Miami, I think Miami might make a push to try and scoop him somehow. So I like Deneric Prince. He fits their mold. They like to use multiple backs. Last year, within a game, they would use 4 guys. They had Derek Gore was getting some burn. McKinnon does his thing. CEH and Pacheco. So I think Prince is just going to slide in there and do what CEH did before he went down. And if anything happens to Pacheco, he did get hurt last year. McKinnon gets hurt as well. Deneric Prince is a name that you need to know, a guy you have to keep your eyes on. People are talking about him because he has a rookie, so he has that shiny new toy buzz. But if you're not familiar with the name, if you're not familiar with the guy, here it is for your eye.
Beautiful. He's going on my watch list. All right. Next guy up. Oh, Josh Palmer, Los Angeles Chargers. Saw a little glimpse of him last year with some of the injuries over there.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson is the rookie that they
Yeah,
drafted, and all
high
the buzz
draft.
is about him. Yeah, and he is basically Mike Williams 2.0. He's big, and at this point in his career, obviously, Mike Williams is 29, which is ancient for wide receivers. So at this point in Quentin Johnson's career, being a rookie, uh, one could even say he's better than Mike Williams because Mike Williams keeps getting injured. Keenan Allen keeps getting injured. So you forget a little bit about Josh Palmer because of the two big names and the big name rookie. Um, but if Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were to go down, people are drafting, I feel like Quentin Johnson earlier than they're drafting Josh Palmer at this point in time. They're kind of forgetting about him. He looked really good. Last year, he finally got on the field and was really starting to help out. They got rid of, what was the dude? I can't think of his name. Shoot,
He was another
whatever.
Josh, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I don't know. He's been in years a couple or he's been in the league a couple years. But they got rid of him, and he was their fourth guy. And when it was Mike Williams went down and Allen went down, it was Josh Palmer. And it was the other dude. I think he went to like Miami or something like that at this point. But regardless, Josh Palmer at worst is their number four. And if anything were to happen to the two top guys, which probably will, you know, Josh Palmer is a guy to have your eye on and maybe pluck this year because he's more seasoned than Quentin Johnson, and at this point in his career, he's more durable than the other two. So I feel like he is the ultimate value on this team. And a lot of people are expecting big things for Justin Herbert. If you've watched for years, I don't see it with Herbert, but maybe this is the year he pops, and Josh Palmer's the guy for your eyes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Him and Herbert actually had a good connection, it seemed like, especially with those other guys out. And I think it was Carter, wasn't it? DeAndre Carter
Yes,
on the other
that's what it
side.
was. Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to number 2 here. Ooh, another familiar name here is Zamir White from the Las Vegas Raiders. Good running back when he was in there.
Yeah, this one might be a little obvious. Last year, right around this time, maybe a few weeks later, late August, he was generating a lot of buzz. And we all know what happened last year with Josh Jacobs. He went off. They finally, were using him. He had a few huge games, and Zamir White never really amounted to much of anything. But at this point in time, it doesn't look like Josh Jacobs is going to play Week 1. Doesn't look like he's going to be there in the preseason. He's coming off a career usage year, which is always bad for running backs, whether it be they just flop the next season or they get injured, God forbid. So Zamir White is a guy that I feel like you could grab after a draft at this point in time in most leagues. And like if you've already drafted or if you're drafting, over the next month, dynasty leagues have drafted by now, most of them. But redrafts, his name is going to start to pick up more buzz because he, I think, is going to be the starter Week 1. So, you don't have Josh Jacobs Week 1. You should have Zamir White. So I think that this AFC West is sort of guys that and we're not so much plucking names that you don't really know. Um, it's guys that you know, but you might have forgotten about. And I think that might be a little bit of a theme this year. It certainly is now with the AFC West, I'm noticing. But Samir White falls into it. He's a guy for your eye. Don't forget about him. Take a look at him. You probably will be able to use him right out of the gates.
Interesting. I like it, man. I like it a lot. All right. And number 1 on your list. Ooh, Big Russ. Denver
Yeah,
Broncos, Russell Wilson. Dude, I kind of agree with you, but I'll let you go for it.
yeah. I mean, speaking of what I just spoke about, I mean, Russell Wilson. Everybody was so high on him last year with the move to Denver. Coming off a relatively okay year with Seattle, but then it was just terrible. It was just terrible. The coaching was terrible. They ruined Javante Williams by taking him off the field to bring in uh, Stone Leg Gordon, and it was just terrible. coaching was terrible. Everything was terrible. The wide receivers were getting hurt. And now they drafted another wide receiver. They got Hamler coming back healthy, Judy, Sutton, and it just feels they got Dolchich. They got Adam Troutman from New Orleans.
I like
They
Troutman.
also got what's his face from New Orleans, the coach. I can't think of his name.
Sean Payton.
So I just feel like Russell Wilson is going to have a nice bounce back year. They're in a division where the other teams are going to be scoring points, at least the Chargers and the Chiefs. You got the Raiders, who I don't know what's going on with their quarterback situation, if Jimmy G is going to be fine or if it's going to be Stidham. But at the very least,
Tom Brady. Sorry.
at the very least, their defense is going to be terrible. So you're going to be able to score points against them. So I really think Russell Wilson will go. I mean, this was one of my plays. Russell Wilson was one of my plays, I feel like, right before they got Sean Payton. I actually was texting a buddy of mine and a guy I know from Cards, and we were talking about fantasy. And I'm like, I feel like Russell Wilson's going to be a great fantasy play next year. And then they got Sean Payton, and everything blew up, and everybody was like, oh, Russell Wilson, we got to get Russell Wilson. That sort of cooled off, which I like. But if you're watching ABG, if you're a member of the family here, don't forget about him. Keep your eye on Russell Wilson because people will be overdrafting these rookie quarterbacks. They'll be getting the stud names, which is fine. But I feel like Russell Wilson is good for at least one more. And I think he's going to have a nice bounce back season. So, again, guys that you know, names that you know here in the AFC West, a little different than what we normally do. But it's guys that you might have or other people might have forgotten about. So, please keep your eyes on Russell Wilson. Grab him as your second quarterback. I just feel like this is going to be a nice season for him with a coach that can actually coach. They got good weapons, and he's a good quarterback. It was just a poorly run team last year.
Definitely agree with you, man. I'm on that same boat. I think we had talked about it a little bit as well, but you know, it's funny. My Rob bonus actually goes with our same theme. You mentioned a whole bunch of people in Denver, but there's one person that you didn't mention that I think is actually going to be that ancillary guy for Russell Wilson, and that's Tim Patrick. A name that you hear, he's seen him played well. Sutton's been on the field with him. I mean, it's really been an interesting situation. He got hurt again. That's been his biggest thing, his injury. He said it himself. I got something to prove again because people keep on forgetting. We see Russell Wilson have those guys like David Moore or those ancillary third wide receivers that go for the deep ball. I'm not saying he's going to get 10 targets a game, but with those 3 or 4 targets that he gets, it could be a bomb. It could be a long one. It could be, you know what? Let's throw an outside screen to him and let's see how our team can block kind of deal.
Yeah, so. we really couldn't have scripted that any better, and we didn't. I have no clue who Rob Bonus was, and somehow I did not even mention Tim Patrick, although he's exactly beautiful.
So that ended up working out pretty well, man. I like that.
To be, and I like the call. I like the call because if it's not Hamler, it's Patrick because it's Judy and Sutton for sure. It's the tight ends. They're saying Javonte might be back.
They had the rookie too, like you said, shiny new toys, Mims Jr. is there too. I mean, again, so there's so many different people, but I think Tim Patrick's a name that you can't forget about because we've seen it before. We've seen him play well, but he can't just stay on the field because of health, you know. So hopefully he's healthy enough to be able to make that happen.
That's right. Keep your eyes on him.
All right, guys. Remember, always like us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Patreon, and soon to be podcasting on Spotify. And always look for those hashtags. And we thank you for watching.
See ya.
All right. Peace.